Hey, it's Kinetics here. As some of you might know, yesterday I released a brand new song called Secrets with the incredible Amber J, and the response has been really great on the song. I've had so many lovely messages from people telling me they're really vibing with the themes and the way it sounds. So I thought I would film a video doing a little deep dive into the Ableton project, just in case anyone's interested in how I made the song and some of the choices I made and where some of the sounds came from, and basically how I ended up with the end product that you know to be Secrets, which is out in the world now. So if you haven't heard the song, I'm going to give you a quick preview right now. And if you have heard the song, then thank you so much for streaming. As I said, it's been out for one day and the response has already been great. So yeah, anyways, let's dive into the project. As you can see, there's not a crazy amount going on. This is all like the vocal tracks. Let me explain. So I came across this guitar sample on Splice, I believe it was, and it sounded like this. Instantly I was like, wow, that's got such a nice vibe to it. It sounds great. I didn't like the kind of pops that you can hear here, these ones. They were bugging my ear, so I literally just took the guitar and chopped those out and smoothed out the gaps, which you can hear above. Yeah, it just felt a lot nicer on my ear without those. And I haven't actually done that much to the guitar. All I've got is a bit of this washout effect, which I don't believe comes in until the very end, which is just to basically put a nice fade for the outro of the song. And I've got a slight mono compatibility fix, so I've just boosted the kind of mid section and then done some gain reduction. So yeah, the guitar is pretty much how I found it, obviously without those kind of loud little peaks. So that was kind of the starting point of the song, and I knew I kind of wanted like a soft soundscape around that, and yeah, to basically have something that complemented those guitar parts quite nicely. So I have this plugin called Sky Keys, which has this great crackle reverse piano, which I just I thought was lovely. Actually, before I did that, I needed to work out the chords, so I got a normal piano open first, which I did with Contact. I believe it's Alicia's keys, which is a really nice piano tone, and these were the chords that I played. Which you can hear complement the guitar nicely when I play them together. So once I had the chords from the piano, it was easy to basically put them on different instruments to fill out the space nicely. Just before I move on the piano, I've done quite basic processing. I've built this piano rack here, which basically just takes out some of the low end, a little bit of glue compression, a bit of saturation, EQs, reverbs. This is a plugin I really like from Waves. It's a J37 tape emulation plugin. This is based on the tape machine at Abbey Road Studios. And then again, a mono compatibility fix, just to stop anything getting lost when it goes to stereo speakers. So once I had those chords, I put them into Sky Keys, as I was saying before, into this crackle reverse piano, and that gave me this sound. Which I just thought was really nice. It's great as well because normally I will always put like a layer of tape hiss under every song. But for this one, I didn't, and that's kind of got the nice tape vinyl crackle embedded into it. So when I played that with the guitar, instantly I was like, wow, that's just like a really nice compliment. And then those with the piano at the next section, just to basically build on the progression of the song. And then I felt like it just needed a little bit more of a push, so I layered this sound in as well, which is also from Sky Keys. This one is Layered Sign, and I've just basically cut all the low end out to stop it from clashing with anything else. So all of those together. So once I had all of that, I knew I needed to try and start building into the drop. And the easiest way, in my opinion, to do that was to kind of had these drums building up. In the very start, I've got this really simple think break. Which I've literally just put a drum bus on. I haven't done too much. I think there's definitely some songs that they're really cool for bits to have automation and to get all these audio effects on the tracks, but with this one where the soundscape was quite soft and raw and innocent more than anything, I felt like it was quite nice to have things not overproduced. So I kind of left quite a lot of the things raw as they were. So this think break, for example, without the effect that I put on it, should probably sound quite similar. Let's have a look. Yeah, so the drum bus is just giving it a little boost. And then the main drums, I thought the switch would be a really nice point. So where the other instruments were kicking in here, with the piano and this sound, I wanted to switch the drums out so that the think break would fade and then the main drum beat would come in. These out of time drums are, I believe, from a Monroe sample pack, which I really liked. So let me show you the switching point. So obviously you can hear a few different things happening. There is the drums kind of opening up from a filter. I actually think I usually like to use EQs more than filters. I can't remember what I've used here. Let's have a look. So on the main out of time drums, this does have 2 EQs and a filter, so you should be able to see the movement quite clearly on what's happening. Quite steady in the first part, and then as we move into the bit where it builds a lot more, you hear the filter really opening up, and the EQ kind of giving it a little bit of its body back. There was a slight volume drop on these drums as well, from where they were quite filtered and the EQ wasn't letting that much of the frequency through. I needed it a little bit louder to really cut through the mix, but then by the time, so you can see that's on a 0.6 dB, but by the time it gets to the drop, that's at -2 decibels. And then the other set of drums, just kind of the kick, snare, layer that I added to that was this one here. That's actually just a snare. I thought there was a kick there. But you'll see how that kind of does the same sort of thing and helps to build into the drop. Just getting a little bit louder there to cut through, so it really does its job as the build-up's coming. So the drums in the drop are obviously a little bit different. These You Got Me drums are also from the same Monroe sample pack that this one was from. And then I've got a few different kicks and snares layered in here. So the main drums were this one here. And I just wanted to layer that with these. So both of those together sounded just like this. One of the things to note is that obviously when it gets to the drop, I wanted the drums to hit considerably harder than they did in the intro. The drums in the intro were more carrying it through to that point where the big moment happens and everything needs to slam really hard. So I did do some processing on the drums. Not that much, but the first main thing to point is that I do have the drums sent to a send which has a clipper absolutely slammed on it. The reason I've got it on a send is it's basically parallel clipping, which means it's not affecting the actual drum track and the drum signal. It's basically mixing. Let's say I had no processing on the drums here, it would be mixing a dry signal of my drum group with a really hard clipped version of my drum group. I hope I've explained that right. And therefore, in my opinion, makes the drums hit a lot harder. So without any of the processing and without the clipper, the drums were sounding like this. And then the second you start adding the clipper to it, and then the processing, and then in the gaps I just wanted to add a little bit of flair, so I have these drum fills which came from Splice, I think. Yeah, really nice and simple. I think simplicity is the key, especially for a song like this where it, as I said, it does have that soft, innocent vibe. Anyways, moving on to the bass. I believe all the basses are from Serum. So the first thing I did was I made the synths and then I processed the synths to basically be subs, so that they kind of do the exact same movement and have the same flow to them as the synth would have. So the synth first layer was this one here. Let me play this. Hang on. So that's basically the sound. The Serum patch, I believe, was quite simple. Let me have a look. So without any of the processing on first, let's see. Yeah, so that's how the sound is originally. So it's literally 2 sine waves, filter, and most of the work is done in the effects. As you can see, there's not a whole load going on. Most of it came from down here, so I added a fat rack, an EQ, just giving it a little bit of a high boost. Probably be better if I go through each of these effects to see what they're really doing. So the fat rack is probably doing most of the heavy lifting. That's got quite a few little bits in there. So yeah, so this is the sound without it, and then the second you add that, you can really hear the boost and the rumble that the fat rack gives to the synth. Then the little bit of the high boost, just to help a bit of the cut through. Then a drum bus, really starting to get to that kind of heavy synth sound. Bit of reverb, just to let it flow through before the next bit hits, and then a bit of vinyl distortion. And then once we add an EQ, just to clean it up a little bit, just because that low end was like really powerful, that would have been clashing with the sub quite a lot. And then lastly, I just added more of this tape emulation plugin. I've just got the bass 2 preset turned on. Then the next sound in the next section is exactly the same, it's just pitched an octave higher. So I just have them separated because I wanted different volumes on, and that just seemed like the best way to do that. And then what I did is I took that sound, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same sound. Yeah, it's the exact same sound, which I've called Sexy Reese. And I've put the exact same processing on it. And then what I've done is add from after the vinyl distortion. I've got one EQ cutting out all the high above 245 hertz, another EQ shaping it even further, and then a compressor, a saturator, another EQ, kickstart, which basically acts as like a sidechain compressor so that the bass and the kick never play at the same time as they would be clashing. And then I've turned the sub into mono. So the sub, let me play it without the processing. So the sub was originally, check I haven't got anything else on there. No, so it was, and then we add the fat rack and all the processing from the original. Then once you take all the high out, really in that low end now. Then we shape it even more, so we started with the first EQ, this one here. So really just targeting that one frequency section. Then we add a compressor and a saturator, just to give it that rumble. Probably could have done with opening that up a bit more. And the second EQ keeps it really nicely contained and in the pocket. And then that kickstart and the mono, you can hear where it goes dun, 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 rather than just like one constant note. So the sub bass paired together with the synths ends up giving us this sound here. Which I was really happy with. I've got another sub here which I believe is exactly the same, again just with a different volume. This is where the song switches back to the more melodic section after the drum fill, and I just didn't want the sub to be as overpowering where all the main melodies kick back in. So let me show you that bit. just keeps it balanced a bit nicer, to stop things from clashing too much. The next thing that I was thinking about was, I played this sound to you before, and originally the song was dropping like this, so and to me, like, it was cool. It just felt like it needed something from the melody to carry over without being too much. So I added this just into the background. I'm pretty sure it plays exactly the same as it does in the build. Yeah, so you should be able to hear it like nicely just in the back there. It's one of those things that you can't really hear, but you can notice when it's gone. So it's definitely helping keep the melody there and keep the song with the same vibe. You know, the vibe isn't changing just because it drops. It still has that feeling from that the melody was giving it. Then the next thing I didn't really like was how the song just started like this. It felt like it needed a little pre-section before like the verses started. So I took that guitar and I basically did the same as I did for the outro for the intro, and I had the guitar starting really washed out and then kind of fading in. So let me play that for you. That paired up with the think break that comes in adds a really nice effect. I'll show you that quickly. Yeah, so I thought it was a nicer way to start the song. Then I wanted to think about effects. Ultimately, ironically, I try not to add too many effects. It seems like I've got a lot more here than I normally like to shoot for, but I wanted to add some nice movement to the song, and I felt like it didn't need that much because, as I said, the song was quite raw. It was meant to sound quite raw and innocent. So when it was like time to add effects, I didn't want to overdo it. But I'm going to play through some of the ones that I chose. I'll play it with the music and without the music. Let's go without first. So let's see. I started with this one here. A couple downlifters. Then I got this bunch of risers, little delays on certain things and reverbs to carry them across. That nice little down sweep on the drop really helped to move everything into the right space when the drop hit. It actually did quite a lot of impact. So let me show you these in context with the song. This first wow effect. Really nice for the movement, and this one here was, I believe, at the switching point where it goes from the think break over to the other drums, so it needed something to kind of carry it across. Just nice, like really shimmery, sparkly sounds. And then the riser, this is where it kind of needed to build a lot more, so I added these in. And then obviously the ones on the drop, as I said, they were doing quite a lot, so and the drop without them, and the build up without them as well is quite bare. So obviously you can hear the difference is quite drastic actually. Yeah, so they were doing a nice job. I didn't do too much to them. I liked the way they sounded, so I kind of just left them to do their thing. And then, yeah, obviously the main feature of the song is all the vocals that Amber recorded and sent over, and I was blown away by how amazing they were. She sent me all these layers, of which we used most of them. We got some like nice panned ones. And I thought I would just take you through the vocal processing that I put onto these. So yeah, I thought I would show you the kind of vocal process that I did with all the vocals that Amber sent over. They were so good, they didn't need that much. It was just mainly brightening them to fit in with the track and to glue with the song nicely, and to kind of give them a bit of shimmer over the top. I didn't want to take away from what they were too much. So let's have a look what I did. So if I take everything off, so I had these vocals, and yeah, as I said, they were instantly just, you know, they fit the vibe so well. So this is the kind of thing I had.
Adrenaline like a shot so up and down. I don't know if my high will stick around. Sitting back so I don't fall, but I would rather.
Amazing, like straight off the bat, amazing. That's with the leads, and these are extra takes that I've panned hard left and hard right, all the way to the left and all the way to the right, so that it has like a nicer stereo image. And then I've also got these layers here.
Adrenaline.
They're super subtle, you probably wouldn't notice them, but they're there to basically help fill out kind of the high spectrum of the vocal and the lower end as well, just to add like a nice variation to the ear. Yeah, only subtle. And then Amber sent over some great harmony layers, which I'll play for you now. Yeah, there was one in the middle here that I reversed just to add like a similar effect to what I had at the start with the guitars, where kind of the one guitar's playing and then the reverse piano is kind of bringing it back round. I thought it'd be a nice effect to recreate in the biggest moment of the song, so I reversed this harmony to sound like this. Which paired with the lead harmony sounded really nice. Yeah, it filled out the space really nicely. So when it came to processing the vocals, let's see what I added. So this at the end was just mono compatibility fix to make sure that everything was mono compatible without losing things. I will play part of the vocal and then I will go through the vocal process bit by bit. Let's have a look.
Oh, feel it. Oh, feel
So what I wanted to do first was scoop out some of the low end so that it wasn't clashing with the bass. Then I added some of the J37 tape emulation plugin, some fresh air, tiny little boost in the highs on an EQ, and one little surgical EQ, which I can show you what I was listening for and taking out. You can hear there's that one resonant frequency, which just I could hear, and it was not what I wanted in the song. So I took that one frequency out, and then I added a compressor. Which is not doing loads, that compressor. Then so that was just on the leads, and then for the whole vocal group I also added, so you'll see how this changes things, de-esser first, and for some reason a de-esser second as well, and then I added a reverb just to give it a little bit more space, airy vocal, and then I added some vocal control, another tape emulation plugin, and another fresh air. Then just retaking out some of the low end, and I added a plugin called Voxengo MSED, which basically just helps me to check the mono compatibility, which the correlometer was moving over to the left quite a bit, so I added 3.2 on the mid gain and a little bit of a boost on the side gain. Which gives us a nice strong input down the middle there, making it mono compatible. The other thing to note was on a lot of these harmony layers and a lot of the stacks where I've got it panned left and right, and a lot of the double tracks, I have added these FabFilter Pro Rs, so these are all different reverbs. They're on a lot of the single tracks here, they're on these groups, FabFilter Pro R, all different types of reverbs. This one's Vocal Hall Bright. I didn't put that on the leads, I wanted the leads to be quite clean, but then it's on all of the vocals that sit behind the leads to really create a nice nice amount of space and like something really that carries in the background. I always think those like ethereal backing vocals are really nice, so I added a lot of the reverbs to the vocals in the back rather than the lead. So yeah, once I had the vocals, I thought they were really nice. I think they were sitting in a really nice place. I added all the nice layers to them. I wanted to mix them with the track, so I believe I added some of this track spacer, which I've basically just got this region in the middle from 250 hertz all the way up to 3000 hertz around about, and it's only doing 15% ratio, but what you'll be able to see is that when I play it, it's doing a little dip on everything in the song against the vocals, so it's sidechaining everything here. So the white layer is the song and the blue is the vocal. So it's basically just giving the vocal a little bit of space to cut through. If I play it with the vocal, you should be able to see what I mean. If I can find it, there we go. So if I made it a bit more drastic so you could hear it more, maybe if I go to the intro as well.
I don't know if my high will stick around. Sitting back so I don't fall, but I would rather feel it all. Now that you call, I would like to stay up and share secrets.
So yeah, I haven't got it too much. Just 15% gives it just like a little edge that it needs to cut through that little bit more. And as I said, I haven't done it on the low and I haven't done it too high because I didn't want it to interrupt with like the main most resonant frequencies that I wanted. The other thing was with the track spacer, I didn't put it on the sub. I didn't really want the sub to be dipping in and out. I felt like I wanted the sub to be consistent. And I also didn't put it on the drums because it was important that the drums were cutting through equally as much. But it's on all the musical elements. It's on the main synths. It's on the guitars, the pianos, the reverse pianos, the kind of more paddy synths, and it's on all the effects as well, just so that nothing of those were getting on top of the vocal. Everything else was sitting behind. I've got it on the drum fills as well, but I don't think they clash with any of the vocals here.
I would like to stay.
No, see, they kind of have their own cut through anyway. They're not really being dipped that much. So yeah, that was a full kind of deep dive into the project for Secrets. I hope it was useful and maybe you learned something and you thought it was cool to see kind of what I did and how I made the beat and how simple it really was in terms of the production techniques. There wasn't loads going on and it was very, it was keeping the vibe right and trying to make it as nice and innocent and raw as possible. So yeah, thanks for watching if you made it this far. If you want me to break down any of my other songs, I would love to. I've got some really amazing vocalists in and out of the studio all the time, and I'm doing all different processes of genres and different vocal techniques and loads of production things. So if there is anything you want me to break down or cover, I would love to. And yeah, just wanted to say again, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll do more of these.